Welcome to Home Care Matters, the show where we discuss all things home care, with discussions on important age-related matters and topics. Brought to you by Enriched Life Home Care Services, the #1 rated home care provider in Michigan by Top Rated Local.
Hello and welcome to All Home Care Matters. Today's show is just about as important of a topic that we will cover here, and that is home safety for your loved ones. We often hear from families about concerns they have for their parents, grandparents, and even for themselves as they begin aging and having more physical difficulties about making sure that their homes are safe and properly equipped to meet their current and future's needs. Now, if you have ever been concerned for a loved one's safety after maybe you stopped by to visit with them or after the first time they may have had a fall in their home, then you know how important it is to make sure their home is as safe as it can be for them. We're going to discuss some of the ways that you can fairly easily make some changes and modifications to help keep them safe in their home. Now, consider this. The U.S. Centers for Disease and Prevention has some pretty staggering numbers and statistics that brings this issue to the forefront, and that's safety of our seniors in their home. 1 out of every senior falls each year. Every 11 seconds, an older adult is treated in an emergency room for falling. And finally, every 19 minutes, an older adult dies from a fall. The source of these numbers is the CDC and AgeSafeAmerica.com, which is a wonderful website that provides more detailed explanation and statistics about safety for our seniors and elderly. Now, another alarming statistic comes from the National Safety Council, and that it's more than 800,000 patients are hospitalized each year due to a fall. And most often that's a result of either a head injury or a hip fracture. Now, when you take into account these statistics and numbers, it's fair to say that our seniors and the elderly are at the greatest risk for a traumatic fall, injury, or even worse. But what we want to talk about is what are some ways to help minimize and reduce these risks while helping a loved one age in place at home. One of the ways is finding a community falls prevention program. We here have taken part in these programs, and they're a wonderful place to discuss, learn, and find out about resources and fall prevention tips and equipment to help as we age and to keep our loved ones safe in the home. And so the National Council on Aging allows for us to search by zip code to find programs in our areas that we can attend. Now, as we said, we've participated in these programs, and they are a way to gain more insight into resources and options that are available to help reduce and minimize these risks of falls for our seniors and elderly. Another thing you can do is talk with your doctor or physical therapist, or even if you have an exercise coach, about balancing exercises that you can do at home to help with coordination and your balance. The CDC, or the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, has a very good self-assessment tool as well that allows you to gauge and assess your risk for falling, and it allows you to share your results with your doctor and family. Some other ways to help reduce and minimize the risk for falling in the home are clearing your floors of clutter, wiring and cords. Throw rugs are another one that often get overlooked. Quite often, throw rugs do not have a slip-resistant back on them, and if they're on a linoleum or a tile or a wood floor and you're walking, they could either slip or they could get flung over where the corners or part of them are on top of each other, which right there provides for another fall or trip hazard. Make sure your walkway and paths that are used in the home are wide and not narrow. And what this really means is you're not widening your doorways unless you needed to for a wheelchair or a walker to safely go into, but the walkways and paths that are most frequently used, the high trafficked areas in your home. You want to make sure that if you or your loved one now need a walker for assistance or even a wheelchair, that it's safe for you to get through and you're not going to have to turn or go in a different direction that may lead to a trip or a fall hazard. Make sure that the furniture or other large items making the paths narrow, move them, or have someone assist you or help you in moving them to allow enough room to get through, especially like we said, when a walker is being used in the room. Make all items that are frequently used in a safe, reachable location. So for instance, if you use a toaster for breakfast, put it on a lower level or on the countertop if you usually store it in a high cabinet. So that way you're minimizing the risk for reaching up and possibly losing balance or falling. Another option that you can do is if you don't need to reach it, leave it. That just means anything that you think you're going to need and you're going to have to reach for it, readjust or reorganize cabinetry or closets even, so that the items you most frequently and regularly use are in a safe level for you or your loved ones to reach without having to get a step stool or extend their arms high to try to get from a top shelf or a higher level cabinet. Now, outside the home is another area that sometimes gets forgotten about, especially in the winter months. If you're in a state that gets a lot of snow and you're not going out as much as you might during the summer or spring, make sure that your sidewalks are free of debris and they're well lit. So the path that you're taking to and from your car or to and from your mailbox is well lit enough so that at night, if maybe a limb or a branch happens to fall, or maybe there's that one spot on your sidewalk that's not even or level with the rest, you won't forget that it's there and accidentally trip on it when you're going in a hurry to the mailbox or coming in from a doctor's appointment or a grocery trip. Pay special attention to those cracks in the sidewalk. They can be a severe, high risk for falls. Now, if there's a porch, make sure the steps are safe and that there are handles or rails on both sides for using the steps. Now, inside the home for stairs, steps, and landings, the same applies. Make sure that there's railings to assist you with going up or down those unlevel areas. Anything you can do to help avoid or minimize the risk for a fall or for tripping is well worth looking into. Always make sure that if a walker or cane is needed for walking, that it's readily and handily available to you. I've heard many situations where an individual uses a walker, but not regularly, even though they're supposed to. So sometimes they'll maybe use it when they first get up in the morning and they'll take it and use it to get into the kitchen and have their coffee or breakfast or read their newspaper in one of their comfortable chairs. But then as they are waking up more and they're becoming more awake, they leave the walker there because they didn't really need it as much as they did when they first woke up in the morning with their balance. Well, later in the day, they found that they needed it, but then it was on the other side of the room or on the other side of the house, which that right there presented them with a fall risk. If the home has a walk-in shower, make sure that handlebars are installed appropriately and that there is either a seat installed or a shower chair to use. Now, quite often, when we go into homes, we see a lot of showers that have the suction cup handles, and I understand the reason for that. Sometimes the elderly or those are not able to get out as much, or maybe they don't have a handyman they can call on, or their children aren't close by, or it's not convenient. They don't want to seem like they're being a bother. So if they're at the store or they call a friend or even they go on Amazon or some website and they order shower rails or handles, they'll get the suction cup ones. Those are one of the greatest risks for falls because if that suction doesn't stick that one time when you're using it to help get in or get out of the shower or to get up or to get down, and it gives way, all of your weight and force is going to go as well. And the suction doesn't always stick. They're not that reliable. And price-wise, the ones you can install with screws right into the walls or the tile are not much more expensive than the ones that you just apply pressure to get the suction to stick. The only difference is, unless you are handy or know how to install them, or you feel comfortable installing them, you would have to probably pay someone to install it, or if you're fortunate, have a family member or a close friend come by and do it for you. Now, if the shower is not a walk-in and it's in a tub, To avoid having to step over the tub to get in, you can use a shower bench. A shower bench is much like a shower chair that you can get at a local medical equipment company. And quite often I've seen them even now at pharmacies or at your Walmarts and Myers. They're a wonderful piece of equipment that sit half in and half out of the tub. The person who may have difficulty or wants to minimize the risk of falling, you place the shower bench half in and half out of the tub. You sit on the portion that's on the outside of the tub and you slowly and safely scooch over into the tub without ever having to lift your legs, except for when you're scooching. That's a lot safer, especially if you haven't had shower or tub bars installed inside the tub or the shower. This way, you're not having to step and lean against a wall that might be slippery or wet. Or if you do have the shower rails, you could try that. But the shower bench, again, is helpful for people who physically aren't able to step over. And it's also convenient and safe for those who want to take extra precaution when getting in and out of their tub to take a shower. Another great option for families and individuals wanting to minimize falling and make things safer, especially in the bathroom, is for toileting assistance. You can have bars placed in front of the toilet and you can have them placed on the sides, depending on how your bathroom is arranged and built. But one thing you never want to do is assume or take for granted that your normal towel bar is going to be safe to use in place of a secured anchored wall bar or safety bar. Those are usually placed just directly into drywall, and they're not meant to support someone's weight or balance or to have any real pressure put on them. The only thing I would recommend putting on a towel bar is a towel. So just think about that if you know someone or if you have been using that as a place for security or for holding on to when getting in and out of the tub or getting up and off of a toilet. The pressure that are put on those can crumble very quickly without warning, and we don't want to see anybody have a serious fall in the bathroom. The grab bars, though, can also be placed on either side of the toilet, like we said, depending on how your bathroom is set up or arranged. Hopefully, you could maybe get at least one on one side of the toilet. And they're for helping you get up and get down when using the restroom. And another nice option for toileting assistance is a raised toilet seat. These are easy and they don't require any installation. They can be placed right on top of your toilet. And what it does is it lifts and elevates the toilet seat so you don't have as far to sit down or as far to get up when using the restroom. Now, there are a couple versions, like we mentioned, the one that sits right on top of the toilet. The other one has almost a cage around it. Not a cage like for a pet or an animal, but it has bars on either side of it, and the seat sits right below the bars. So you scoot it and slide it over almost your whole toilet in a way. And that way you have the bars there and you have the elevated toilet seat, which makes it very handy, especially for our elderly who have sometimes more difficulty getting their balance when going to a standing or sitting position. Now, the one that goes on top of your toilet is typically, and there's always exceptions, a little bit deeper in size than the one that has the handlebars built around it. But you would decide what one you are most comfortable with. When looking at them, though, just remember that if you need help getting up and off of a toilet, if you think the handlebars aren't enough assistance, talk with your physical therapist, talk with your doctor, and see if they have other recommendations. We're asked about this next item quite often, and they are very nice, safe, and a great option that does not look or feel like a medical equipment device. And I don't know if it's fair to say they're truly a medical equipment device, but they're quite often used for medical reasons. And that's a chairlift. These are recliner style chairs that can go all the way to almost a standing position. These are extremely helpful for making it easier to stand up and to also lay down. They're wonderful and nice for many situations, but if the person is wheelchair bound or incontinent, they're almost like a portable hospital bed in a way. They can have a complete range of motion from standing, reclining, and laying completely flat, which also allows for safetier and easier transfers, and personal care if it's needed. And also if the person just needs a little help getting out of the chair. Now, this next one is one of the greater fall risk scenarios or causes, just like the bathroom is, and that's the stairs in a home. This is an important one. Going up and down stairs can be extremely dangerous, and especially if someone has difficulty walking and keeping their balance. What happens if their bedroom is upstairs and their laundry room is downstairs in the basement? This is more common probably than not. So this applies to a lot of people. We've had people tell us that it's no problem getting the laundry downstairs because they'll just scooch the basket to the basement door, and some lady actually had said, my mom just kicks it down there and then figures out later how to get it up. But it is getting it back up that's the real problem. These situations are difficult. One option is to remake your main floor in your home as your main living area and bring the laundry room upstairs and bring the bedroom downstairs so that they are all on the main floor of the home. But this is not always practical or possible. This is where chairlifts can become very essential. These are mobile chairs that run on a track and can be ran almost entirely how you need it to be, fully customizable. We've seen people who could not get down to their laundry room anymore and have had them installed so they could use them to help assist bringing their laundry back upstairs. And we've seen them used to help take groceries from a garage into a home. They're useful in keeping your loved ones safe at home, and they're recommended to be professionally installed and to consult with someone to show them how your house is laid out, what kind of baseboards there are. There's a power source that's required, but they are very, very life-changing for elderly and those with certain disabilities that can no longer safely go up to their bedrooms or down to their laundry rooms. If you know anyone that may benefit from any of this information, please share this with them. Our main goal is to help keep people safe in their homes and provide them with information that hopefully, if any of it benefits them, then we've done our job. This show is about helping others, providing information, introducing interesting discussions, and hopefully bring things to light that you may not have thought about or you've been wondering about and just didn't know the answers for. Thank you so much for joining us at All Home Care Matters. Please remember to visit our website, allhomecarematters.com. There's a private, secure, fillable form there if you have show ideas, questions, suggestions, or any feedback for us. All the forms are read and responded to. And make sure to join us next time on All Home Care Matters as we discuss what the difference is between different senior living options. We know many families and individuals who think a nursing home is assisted living and think assisted living provides nursing home care. There's a lot of different options out there for different senior living arrangements and environments. So we're going to talk about those and break them down and explain them to you here on All Home Care Matters. Remember, home safety is one of the most important things for our elderly and our loved ones that we need to be aware of.
Thank you for joining us today. We look forward to you joining us again on another episode of Home Care Matters. To learn more about the show and to connect with us, visit us at allhomecarematters.com.